finished the first two sections of Yud Aleph. And Yud, we have explained three levels. The level of Matan Torah, which was similar to Mazli Chazi, that our neshama sees Elokus. So we saw Elokus in Matan Torah. The level of the time of the Gezerah of Purim, which is the first level of the revelation of Etzem and Neshama, and that's called now in our minor Mesiras Nefesh. And the second level in Purim, after the Nes, and that's the level of Kosis Lama'ar, and that's the level of the level of the revelation of the higher level of Etzem. Because the Rebbe told us there are two different expressions of Etzem. There's Etzem and Neshama that is defined as the Etzem and not Gilui. The essence of the Neshama and not revealed aspects of the Neshama. So it's Mugdar, the Rebbe says, 4 lines in the bottom of Kuf Lamed Vav. It's Mugdar, it's defined by being a transcendent level of Neshama. So now that level of Neshama can express itself through the Keiches HaGiluyim, the revealed powers of the soul, and that will result in Mesiras Nefesh. Now it will express itself through those powers, but it won't necessarily bring about a change in those powers. Right? So that was, again, the mashal we were using was the difference between a ma'avar and hislapshus, which we discussed a number of times. So the neshama, the keiches of Giluyim can be like a ma'avar for the power of Etzem. But there's no hislapshus. Again, the Rebbe didn't use those words. We're using them. There's no hislapshus. The Etzem and Hashem is not, so to speak, being clothed in the Keiches HaGiluyim. In other words, bringing about a change in Keiches HaGiluyim. That's one level of the revelation of Etzem, and that results in Mesiras Nefesh. But that Mesiras Nefesh will disappear when the situation no longer calls for it. Then there's the higher level called Kosis Lamar. Kosis Lamar is when the level of Etzem and Neshama that's mushreshes in Atzmus, that's rooted in Atzmus, is revealed. That level is beyond all definition. Therefore, that can express itself even in the Keiches HaGiluyim, because even though it's transcendent of them, it's also the Etzem of them, and is not limited in any way, shape, or form. And that's the level of Etzem that would be revealed in Kosis Lamara, which is the Jew being crushed by virtue of the essential state of Golus, not the situation of Golus. So that's the difference between Mesiras Nefesh on one hand and Kosis Lamar on the other. Right? That's what the Rebbe explained in Yud. In Yud Aleph, the Rebbe began to explain, therefore, there's a connection between, meaning, simply the question we're trying to answer is that it says, Veata tetzave b'nei Yisrael, which means Moshe Rabbeinu nourishes the emunah of the Jewish people. That means Moshe Rabbeinu brings, that he connects their emunah to the essence of their soul, and the source of their emunah is their essence. That's Moshe, and that should result in Kosis Lamar. So those two parts of the pasuk should be next to each other. Now, again, in Pshat, it's impossible to read it that way, but conceptually, those two parts of the pasuk should be next to each other. But they are separated by the words V'yikor lecha Shem and Zayzach. They will take to you Shem and Zayzach. So yesterday, the Rebbe, he hasn't completed his explanation of that, but he began his explanation of that. Through our Veata of V'yikor lecha, we can get from the level of Mesiras Nefesh to the level of Kosis Lamar. But that takes our Veata. Internalizing. Moshe Rabbeinu milamayla lamata, from above below, connects the Jew to the essence of their being. That's who Moshe is. And that's what he does, if the Jew opens up to that. But the Jew can then take that to a higher level by internalizing that to the extent that it becomes their conscious reality. And that's Kosis Lamar. And that's V'yichu Elecho. And that brings about a Tosefes Or in Moshe. All right? So let's just see that in the last lines of the first paragraph in Yud Aleph, right? We saw it, but I want to see it again. I want you to see it inside, so remember this. Ba'al Yedei Aveda di Yisrael, by virtue of the Aveda di Yisrael. Last 4 lines in the first paragraph in Yud Aleph. La'achrei, after Shanim Shach Yisrael Gilu Etzem HaNeshama Yedei Moshe, after Moshe has opened them up to a revelation of Etzem and Neshama, Shegam Keiches HaGiluyim Shalem, right? Through their avodah, that also their revealed powers, that shiur the keches, the character of the keches, you mat'imim la'etzem neshama, they will be consistent with the essence of the soul, meaning that's our avodah. Our avodah brings that about. That's not brought about from above, from below, from above to below. That's brought about from below. That's our avodah, the ultimate of it. Moshe Rabbeinu gives us the possibility to do the avodah necessary, but we have to do the avodah. He doesn't do that for us. And that's v'yikhu elecha. Al yedei zeh nase yisrain v'yisofa. By virtue of this, we bring about some addition, an increase, bebechinas etzem haneshama, in the level of etzem and neshama, shenim shechav and izgalta behem, that was drawn down and revealed to them, or in them, al yedei Moshe. And that's v'yichu elecha. Moshe Rabbeinu opens us up to etzem and neshama, but in order to touch the deepest place in our etzem, that's our avodah. And therefore we bring about an additional light in that reality of Moshe being the one that's connecting us to etzem. Ki al yedei zeh mizgala ba, by virtue of our avodah, it's revealed sharsha amiti, the true source of the neshama, k'meishi mishreshes ba'atzmus, as it's mushresh and asmus. So Moshe, so to speak, again, the Rebbe did not use these words, but we I mean, it's explained in other places in Chassidus. Moshe connects us to Yechida Sheb'nefesh. Moshe is the Yechida Klolis. Moshe is your Yechida. That's who he is. Your Yechida Sheb'nefesh is a little piece of Moshe Rabbeinu's Yechida. But how do you then take that koyach that you get from Moshe to the higher level? That's our avodah. That comes from below. Right? That's why what the Rebbe said. So this is what the Rebbe say to us on Chav Ches Nisan Tav Shin and Aleph. I've done everything I can do to make you want Mashiach. Now it's up to you. Well, that's exactly what this mimer just said. Moshe Rabbeinu can bring us to a point, to a certain point, and then it's up to us. And if we get past that, so good. But that's where Mashiach comes from. Mashiach comes from that point, beyond what Moshe gives us. Right? Because why? That's the way the Rebbe created reality, right? That he wants Moshe to help us get to a certain point, but he also wants our ultimately what the Rebbe is interested in is our faith. Okay.
Has a question?
Yeah.
Is it impossible to get to the level of that we get to in Chassidus Lamar, like after the Gilui, if we're still in Gullus? Or will it have to be?
That's the place where it happens.
I mean, like I'm saying, like in the Xer of Purim, we weren't on that level yet until it was revealed.
We still in Golos.
Right.
After the miracle, we're still in Golos.
So can we get to that in the point of like the darkness, like the point of Mesiras Nefesh?
No, that's the whole point. That's exactly the point. The whole point is get there in Golos. Getting there in the state of Geula, that's Matan Torah already. That's already Mazli Chazi.
Right? Even more than that, it's that you can even reach it without Mesiras Nefesh. No, like
You
that,
can
that,
even.
that
Oh,
level
that's
is
our generation.
Forced by your goals, yeah.
That's our generation. The Rebbe, we're going to see. I mean, we haven't seen it yet. But I was going to say it explicitly. There's still one question of the 5 questions that we asked that we didn't answer. What's that? Which we're about to answer. Okay, back to the beginning. What were our 5 questions? What were our 5 questions? We're about to finish the mimer, so we better remember what our questions
Why is it why you will command?
Why you will command, Ata, strange language, and
It sounds like Moshe is the source.
the content of that also sounds like Moshe is the tetzave. So we answered that. What does it mean? Moshe connects us to the Eibishter, to revealing etzem and neshama. Okay. Next question.
Why give the oil to Moshe?
Why give the oil to Moshe? Well, we just answered that. What's v'yikhu elecha? Hashem is that by virtue of our avodah we bring about an elevation in Moshe. Okay. Chassidus Lamar. Well, we did now. So the whole mimer's been explaining that to us, right? And now we are about to see the answer to the 5th question, which was Ner Tamid as opposed to Mi Erev Baker. In our pasuk it says Chassidus Lamar Ner Tamid, a constant Ner. Whereas the next pasuk says Mi Erev Baker, only Mi Erev Baker. There's a distinction between evening and morning, but that's not Tamid. Again, you can answer that. I mean, Rashi does answer it in different places. And Chumash says it means it's constant every day from Arabic. But okay, that could be an answer. That's not going to be the answer we say here. Okay. Okay, the parentheses we did yesterday. The fact that the level of Avos Yisrael reached by virtue of this level of neshama being revealed is higher than the level of Avos Yisrael that the Alter Rebbe discusses in the 32nd chapter in Tanya. Va'al pi zeh yuvan ma shekosav b'mayim. And now, based on what we've learned, we can understand that which it says in the Maimer. Da'al yedei sheYisrael mosif. By virtue of the fact that the Jewish people increase, al yedei avedosah b'madregas Mesha, in the level of Mesha, Mesha being that which connects us to Etzem and the Shama. Through our Veda, we connect ourselves to a level beyond that which Mesha connects us to. So we're adding Koyach to Mesha. And the whole purpose of Mesha is to get us to the point that we, through our Veda, will continue the work. Al Yedei Zeh Yeh Ner Tamid. By virtue of this, there'll be a Ner Tamid. Dilucha Ura. Zeh Shahaner de Neshama. That which the Ner de Neshama. Ner Havaya Nishmas Adam. The candle of the Neshama. We know that the Neshama is called a candle. Ner Havaya is Nishmas Adam, which in other places the Rebbe explains an amazing pshat in that pasuk. Right? Ner Havaya, the Ner of Hashem is the Neshama of the Jew. What do you need a Ner for? What does a Ner do for you? It lights up, right? It lights up the dark, it lights up, right? It lights things up. Okay, so what lights up things for the Eibishter? Look at the pasuk, don't think. What? Jewish neshamas. What's the Eibishter's Ner? What lights up reality for the Eibishter? Yid. Who tamid? Right? The Ner neshama has to be tamid. B'shaveh, bli shinui. Right? That which the Ner is constant, equal, without change. What level of reality is beyond change? Hu al yedei gilu etzem and neshama. This is through the revelation of Etzem and Neshama, Shenimshach al Yedei Mesha, that's drawn down through Mesha Veata tetzave. Right? I mean, that's simple pshat. L'chu'ura, at first glance. Now, that usually means there's going to be a deeper glance. The Be'etzem and Neshama in Sharach Shinui, that relative to the essence of the soul, there's no change. Revealed powers change. More revealed, less revealed. Essence is essence. It is what it is. It doesn't experience change. Right, the muscle in you is your DNA. You can dye your hair a different color, but your DNA is the same. The Be'etzem and the Neshama ain't Sharach Shinui. Ubahamaimer, in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, we're still learning the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer to the end of this Maimer. Ubamaimer Omer Sha'inyan the Ner Tamid. Hu al Yedei, the Ner Tamid comes from the Kosis L'Ma'or, which is a result of V'yiku Elecha, right? So the Ner Tamid. Hu al Yedei Yisrael Meisifim Madregas Mesha, that they increase in the level of Mesha, and that was our Aveda, which is called V'yiku Elecha. Okay, so through V'yiku Elecha you get to Kosis L'Ma'or, and through Kosis L'Ma'or you get to Ner Tamid. How does that work? What is that? V'yesh Leimar. The explanation of this is as follows. Shebahagilui de'etzem and neshama, b'derech milamayla lamato, through the revelation of the essence of the soul, in the way of above below. And what's that? Al yedei ve'ata tetzave. That's Mesha, nourishing our neshama. And what? Again, the Rebbe did not use these words, but relative to etzem, level 1 or level 2, which level of etzem does Mesha take us to? Level 1, right? The first level. The lower level of etzem, so to speak. I mean, saying that I'm going to get hit by a mashpir. But okay, so that level of etzem, which we're calling yechida, which is the name of etzem and neshama. It has a geder, it has a defined state. It's etzem, not gilui. That's the level Moshe Rabbeinu connects us to. And again, that makes sense. Again, the Rebbe does not use these words in this Maimer, but in other places in Chassidus, we talk very often about Moshe Rabbeinu being the yechida klolis, the general yechida, and each Jew has a yechida pratis, a spark of that neshama in him. Now we said at the beginning of the Maimer that Moshe is Sheshmet Elef Ragli Amasher Neicha Bekirbai. That's where Moshe is. within each and every one of us. All right? The Rebbe didn't bring this here, but it's brought in Chassidus, Pitgamas, statement. Pnimius Rebbe Chassid, Pnimius Chassid Rebbe. Pnimius of the Rebbe is a Chassid. Pnimius of the Chassid is Rebbe. Mitzad the Chassid, what does that mean? His ultimate Pnimius is that piece of neshama that he has from Moshe. His Yechidah. Also, Moshe can connect us to that level. But that's from above below. But on that level, Yesh Chiluk ben Erev v'Beker. That takes us to Mesiras Nefesh. Therefore, there's a difference between Erev and Beker. The Rebbe says unbelievable thing. She'ikar hagilui, the essential revelation of that level of neshama. When is the essential revelation of generally until this Maimon? What would you say is the essential revelation of Yechidah Nefesh of Etzem and Neshama? Mesiras Nefesh. When does Mesiras Nefesh happen? Dark times or light times? Dark times. Erev or Boiker?
Oh,
Erev. Oh. Okay, bediuk. Okay? She'ikar agilui shalah, the essential revelation of that level that Moshe brings us to, hu kishi yeshnam helomis v'esterim, that's when there's times of concealment, erev, the darkness, shal yedei zeh mis'arer misgala kayach ha'mesiras nefesh, that as a result of this, as a result of the darkness, what's aroused and revealed, the power of Mesiras Nefesh. Ukemeshin is Barliel, as we said earlier. Moshe Rabbeinu, Mordechai, brings us to a state of Mesiras Nefesh in difficult times. The Jew himself has to bring himself to a place that's higher than Mesiras. What's that? Mesiras Nefesh. What's that called? Kosis Lamar. And what does that produce?
That's Ner
Tamid. It's not dependent on whether it's good or bad. It's always the same. Wow. How does he do this all the time? Commission is bar le'il, sif yud. Shegam eile shebizmana gezeda, even those that were at the time of the gezeda, erev, darkness, Soviet Union, amdu b'mesiras nefesh, kishubau l'makim shefsha laseg b'terin mitzvahs miseichar chava. When they came to a place, they came to Los Angeles, they came to Tel Aviv, they came to Yerushalayim, they came to wherever they came to. And they came to a place, she'efsha laseg b'terin mitzvahs miseichar chava, that's Baker. Ein nikar b'hem Mesiras Nefesh, it's not recognizing them, the Mesiras Nefesh, Shayalem Mikadim, that was there before. V'amiti se'inyan, the true reality of Ner Tamid, the constant light, she'ein shayich be'shinui, that there isn't relevant to that level any change, meaning even when they get out of Russia and come to America, they're still completely connected to the Eibishter. Kosis Lamar, because what's bothering them is not the situation in Golus, what's bothering them is the essential existence of Golus, and that's a function of their own Avodah. Hu al yedei Avedosim shel Yisrael, that comes as a result of the Avodah of the Yidden below, shegam ha'koiches agiluyim, that they've lined up their revealed powers with their essential power, yiyu chadim etzem in the shama, v'yiku alecha. When do you get to Ner Tamid? When do you get to a constant light? Kosis Lamar, through the Avodah of the Yid. What does Moshe bring us to? Erev V'Beker. Moshe will bring us to a place that when it's Erev will be Mesiras Nefesh, but when it's Beker, Lav Dafka. The Avodah of the 6th generation of Lubavitch was Erev. The 30 years that the Frierdiker Rebbe lived as Rebbe, 10 years in Russia with heathens beyond belief, then 10 years in Poland, having to put up with heathens beyond belief, and then 10 years in America, where America was the Baruch Hashem, no one was trying to kill us, but there was definitely a difficult situation in terms of Yiddishkeit. Okay, but the Rebbe's Vart was America's Nist Anderish, so that was the beginning of Dara Shvi, right? The beginning of the 7th generation. The 7th generation, everything's good. What's the avoid of the 7th generation? Kosis Lamar. Kosis Lamar, it's up to us. The Rebbe takes us to a certain place. The Rebbe says, I've done everything I can do to make you want Mashiach, now you have to do the rest. That's what the Rebbe told us on Chavtes Nisan. Look at the Sikha. That's what the Rebbe said. Right? is this Maimon. I can take you to a certain point. My avoid is to get you to a certain place, to open you up to some reality. And then you have to take that and go Veata. I don't do that for you. You do that yourself. It's called a Veata. It's called being a Chassid.
Is that also Boker, or is that?
No, it's their Talmid. I mean, that's Boker, yes. Meaning even in the situation of Baker, there's still a revelation of Etzem and Neshama. Right? But that, yes, that's the baker in the air of a baker, yes.
Yeah.
Because there won't be Mesiras Nefesh in the baker.
Yeah.
But there will be Chassidus Lamar.
Yeah.
Because it's in their Talmid. It's unbelievable. It's the sixth generation and the seventh generation of the Baruch. The sixth generation is Erev. The seventh generation is Baker. If we stay on the level of the sixth, not that they weren't heroes, they were superheroes, right? Okay, then what? Then they will second. So we'll be good Erech Hayidin. And if we get to the level of the seventh generation, what's the level of the seventh generation? Chassidus Lamar. Well, how's that happen? Aravoida. The Rebbe doesn't do that for us. Not that the Rebbe did that, but did all of the Mesiras Nefesh for those Yidden in Russia. Those Yidden in Russia had to be real Yidden and open themselves up to all of the keiches the Rebbe was giving them. But they did. They did their avodah. And some of them did their avodah so seriously when they got out, they were exactly the same. And we've talked about them constantly the last few days. The Berkas and the Remendels and they were just unbelievable people. Right? Honest. They're unbelievable people. Completely and totally given to the Rebbe's and Yom, given over to the Rebbe's and Yom, Boker, or once Mendel said a great line that sort of says it all. Mendel Futavas. This was, you have to understand the historical Chaf Av, the Rebbe's father's yortzeit. Every year in Eretz Yisrael, there's a kinus of Anash. There's a kinus of Chassidim. Usually it's in Farka, but it's not like a huge thing. But say that people get together, so I don't know. They still do it in general in Farka. And people talk, and there's some music and whatever. It's a Farbrengen. It's a Farbrengen, but it's one of those Farbrengens where it's different people talking, so it's a different sort of kind of Farbrengen. Mendel Futavas got there late. He generally would be sitting on the table with the ribbons. So he got there late. He sat in the back row. Rabbi Glukovsky from Rehovot, who's now basically the head of the Beis Din, but I mean, at that point he was the second in command of Beis Din. He's still theoretically the second in command of Beis Din, but the head of the Beis Din is much older. So Rabbi Glukovsky is what is really doing, the day-to-day work of the Beis Din more than anybody else. So Rabbi Glukovsky showed up, also late. So the two of them are sitting in the back row. They're not in the dais up in front. So Mendel, now this is Chaf of Tafshin Nun Daled. This is a month and a half after Gimel Tammuz. Things are pretty raw. So Mendel Futavas tells Rabbi Mendel Glugovsky, stand up and say what has to be said. So Mendel asked him what has to be said. Mendel Glugovsky. That Achdus is the most important thing. The unity of the Chassidim is the most important thing. That's what's going to get us through this, and we're going to get to Geula through unity of the Chassidim. We won't talk about how we didn't do that. Okay, so aren't doing that. So Mendel said, now Mendel Glukovsky, Rabbi Glukovsky, has no problem speaking in public. But he's not the kind of guy to stand up in a chair in the back of the room and make a speech. Right? That's a different person. Right? Standing in public is one thing, you get used to it. Standing on the back of the hall and saying, wait, everybody has to listen to me and say, even though you're not up there. So that's a different personality. Zusha, a partisan, that was his personality. Sograyim. Right? Zusha, a partisan, was traveling with his son Levi. It's with us, Baruch Hashem, and told the story in Farbrengen and Migdal Emek. He's responsible. He's the mankal of all the mejdis in Migdal Emek, Levi Vilomovsky. He's the son of Zusha Partizan. So Levi and his father Zusha went to the Rebbe, and as they're flying back, they're checking in, and Zusha gets his seat, and Levi asks for a seat about 20 rows behind. So his father says, why don't you want to sit next to me? He said, no, I can't sit next to you. He said, why? Because you embarrass me. Every time you sit next to me, you embarrass me. He says, what do I do? So well, you get up and you start talking. You stand up in front of the whole compartment of the plane and you start talking. You give a drusha and then you start talking, and it's embarrassing. He said, really? Yeah. You don't like when I do that? No. So I won't do it. Yeah? Sit next to me. I won't do it. Fine. So he sits next to his father and they start flying, and after the seatbelt sign goes off, Zusha stands up in front of the compartment they're in and says, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, could I please have your attention? We've just come back from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I'd just like to say some of the things that we heard by the Rebbe for Tishrei, very uplifting things that are relevant to everybody on the plane. So Levi sees this, he says, I can't believe he's doing this. So he gets up and he walks to the back of the plane, he finds an empty seat and he sits down. Right? So, fine. So he hears his father up there. Then his father comes to the compartment he's in. Starts again. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just have your attention for a few minutes. Just like to say over a few words that we heard from the Lubavitcher Rebbe while we were there for Tishrei. So Levi then goes back to his original seat because now he's sitting back, and he sits down in his original seat. And he hears his father behind him explaining things, and then someone sitting next to him in his compartment where he now is, he says, is that your father? So, that's my father. You must be so proud of him. He's so amazing. He taught us such interesting things. I never thought about him. So happy that he spoke. You must really be proud of him. So Levi never sat differently away from his father again. So Zusha could do that. Zusha was that kind of person. He was the kind of person who would get up on a plane, and literally that's what he used to do when he came back from the Rebbe. He would stand up in the plane and say, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, and explain some idea that he heard from the Rebbe. That was Zusha. So he could do that. Rebbe Kaplan is not that kind of person, right? Should you be that kind of person? That's a separate issue. But I think most of us are impressed by someone who has that kind of bright kite. Okay, but say that we probably don't have it. So that was Zusha, and Rav Glukowski doesn't want to stand up in the seat and make a speech. So Rav Mendel keeps checkering him and say, so he says, well, no, I can't now because the band is playing, and I can't now because he's speaking, and I can't now. And so he schnuggles out of it and doesn't do it the whole time. They spend an hour and a half there, and he finds a reason not to do it every time Mendel says, no, get up. He doesn't do it, and they're walking on. Now, Rav Mendel passed away 10 and a half months later. Mendel Futfaz passed away, Hey Tammuz Tavshin Nun Hey. Daled Tammuz, Daled Tammuz Tavshin, a year after Gimel Tammuz. So he was an old man, Mendel. He wasn't well by that point. So he's holding on to Mendel Glukowski's hand, and they're walking out. And Mendel looks at Rabbi Glukowski and says, why didn't you say anything? It was very important what you had to say. So he said, in Yiddish, he said, I wasn't in the mood. Now, mood, in Yiddish, you'd say mood. I didn't have a mood. That's how you'd say it in Yiddish. I wasn't in the mood. Mendel stops. He looks at him. He says, mood? Chassid? What's a mood? What's that got to do with anything? That's a chassid. That's chassid Lamar. What's a mood? Better, I feel better, I feel less, I'm more inspired, less inspired. I have a mood. But Mendel looked at me shocked. Mood? A chassid? What's that? There's no such thing. What's the only thing that guides the Mendels of the world, meaning our real chassid? What's supposed to be done? What's the Yipster want from you? I'm moved, I'm more into it, I'm less into it. What's that got to do with anything? What has to be done? And if it has to be done, then it gets done. Mood, yes mood, no mood. Wow. Rav Mendel was shocked. I heard the story from Rabbi Glukowski. He tells the story. He's the bad guy in the story. Right? He's the guy with the mood. So he's the one that tells the story. It's like, whoa. That's really serious. So then you get a glimpse into what the Mendels of the world are really about. Like, what's a real chassid? Such thing is a mood. Why? Think about it in Chassidic terms. Kabbalah soul. What does Kabbalah soul mean? Chassid is a Kabbalah soul. Kabbalah soul b'simcha, but he's Kabbalah soul. What does that mean? Whatever has to get done gets done. It's nothing to do with you. What's a mood? Mood is how you feel. Who cares? What's it got to do with anything? What's the Eibishter want? If you don't feel like it, you do feel like it. Right? Your father asks you to clean out the garage. I don't feel like it. You don't feel like it. Who cares whether you feel like it? Go clean the garage. I didn't ask you whether you feel like cleaning the garage. I asked you to go clean the garage. Okay. And if the father doesn't say that to the kid, when the kid says, I don't feel like it, so he's going to bring up a brat. And he'll be an adult brat who won't know anything about anything, right? But if the father teaches him at that moment, whether you feel like it is irrelevant, just go do it because I told you to. So then he might actually bring up a healthy human being. Right? Which is not always easy for the father to do because he might not have energy to do that right now. Okay, well, that's his mood. Get out of that and do your fathery, do what you're supposed to do as a father, which is to teach this kid to be a mensch. I am not in the mood right now. Who cares? He's not in the mood to clean the garage, and you're not in the mood to be a father, so the two of you are just off the wall, right? Be a father. What's a father? Teaching your kid what's right and what's wrong. That's what it means to be a father. Right? Okay, and what's right? To do what you have to do, whether or not you feel like it or not. That's what it means. If your father asks you to do something, you just do it. Get up and do it. Right? That's what it means. Okay. So that's Erev and Baker. This is amazing. So what's Kosis Lamar? Ner Tamid. The Mendels of the world. There's no mood. There's no Erev. There's no Baker. There's just what has to be done. Right? Because there are some people that in the Baker, Ein Nikabem, third line, Mesiras Nefesh Hayel Mikedim, Amiti Sinyan de Ner Tamid, the true reality of Ner Tamid. Shein Shayich Beishinu, that there's no change. Well, you there, but that's through our Veda. We have to bring ourselves to that place. That's dependent on us. That's v'yichoi lecho. Shegam hakeches hagiluim yuchadim etzem neshama. We're the ones who have to open ourselves up to that. Moshe Rabbeinu opens us up to what's true. Then we have to internalize that truth so it becomes who we are. Moshe connects us to it, so we might act in accordance with that, but we have to also bring it into who we really are. Well, Pizeh yesh levar zeh, and based on this we can explain zeh shekosis lamar, this level of kosis lamar, nemar, but Kosuf, it's mentioned in the pasuk behemshech v'yichoi lecha. Now the Rebbe answers the question explicitly, even though he's already answered the question. We know it's what the answer is, but here it's answered explicitly. That's why kosis lamar comes after v'yichoi lecha. Because Kosis Lamar is what we do through our Veda. So it's after they will take to you. They will do what they have to do to elevate you. Then they'll reach the state of Kosis Lamar. Ki b'Kosis Lamar, that state, Nichlal, it's included Gam Zeh, also this, Sh'Yisrael hem shvurim v'nitkoim, that they are broken and downtrodden, Kosis crushed, Mizeh shem b'Golus, by virtue of the fact that they're in Golus. Not just the situation of Golus, but the etzem metzius of Golus, the essential existence of Golus. The inyan zeh hu al yedei avedasim shel Yisrael, and this comes about through our Aveda, shegam keiches hagiluyim, that also our revealed powers shalahem, you mat'imim, will be consistent and one with etzem and neshama, the essence of their soul. They'll live elokus. That's what they care about. That's what they're interested in. They get that koyach from Moshe, but they have to bring it into themselves through hard work. Bechinas a ma'or the neshama, and the level of ma'or the neshama shemizgalas, that's revealed. Al yedei, by virtue of this hard work, the etzem and neshama is that higher level of etzem. The level of etzem and neshama kameishi mishmeshes matzmus, as it's rooted in atzmus. That the Jew has to connect himself to. Loche nemor, therefore it said kosis lamar. The words Kosis Lamar in the pasuk come behemshech as a continuation of Yichoi Lechem. Because the level of Kosis Lamar, that level, as opposed to the level of Mesiras Nefesh, that's Veata tetzave is b'nei Yisrael. But the level of Kosis Lamar is the Jews bringing themselves to that level. The Jews. That's our Veda. Our Veda has become a Chassid. The Rebbe gives us all the keiches to do that. That's true, Beseder, but then we have to take those keiches and take them to the next level. V'hinei, the Rebbe says, a perish b'pashtus, the simple pshat, b'vata tetzaves b'nei Yisrael v'yichoi lecha, hu shemeshe yitzaves b'nei Yisrael sheyichoi lecha, that Moshe will command the Jewish people that they should bring to you. Simple pshat. Mizem muvan gam b'pnimius inyanim. This is also understood in the pnimius, in the deeper level. The zeh shemeshe mitzava, that which Moshe commands, which means mekasher, connects, as b'nei Yisrael. who ba'ifin will be in such a way, shemamshich lahem nesinas koyach, he gives them the empowerment, gam al v'yichoy lecho. Moshe gives them the koyach to do the v'yichoy lecho, but the yid has to do it. So too regarding the Moshe of our generation. You thought you were going to get through this whole Maimon without the Rebbe mentioning the Frierdiker Rebbe? He already did once, right? He mentioned that the Frierdiker Rebbe paskin that Moshe, that Mordechai was the Nasi Ador, so he's paskin relative to himself. His work to arouse and reveal the emunah of Kol Echad Yisrael, every Jew, shemitzad etzem and neshama is coming from the essence of their soul, he ba'ofen, is through the way she'achar kach, afterwards yavdu avedosim, that they will do their aveda b'koyach atzmam, with their oaths, va'ad shiu ner tomei, to such an extent it'll be a ner tomei. Frierdiker Rebbe gives them the Mendels, the Nesinas Koyach, to become Mendel, but Mendel has to do the work to become Mendel. Then there's no notion of change. A mood, a chassid, what a line. And he was shocked. It wasn't like he was just, what? Didn't know what he was talking about. What does that mean? That's where Mendel was holding. He really was there. It's just, that was just who he was, and not flashy, nothing. He didn't have to make sure that everybody knew about that. It wasn't his thing. Just a Jew walking around, thinking and acting in accordance with what the Eibishter wants from him all the time, but within the context of Nifnim Mishur Sedin, not just I have to do that which is written in Shulchan Aruch so I can check the box. That every breath should be an expression of Elokus. Ner tamid she'ein shayach bei shinui gam mitzad koiches hagiluyim. Also mitzad koiches hagiluyim. Remember once walking out of 770 with a student, and we turned left, and with Mendel and Rabbi Klein, Alav Shalom, Aleha Shalom, they walked out of Rabbi Klein's house, which was next to 770. They walked down the stairs, and when we saw them, we stopped, and I said to him, "That's Mendel." So we're looking at them, and in sort of somewhat of a state of bittul. So remember, Mendel gave us a look of such bittul. Looked at us like, you idiots. I mean, I think I never related to the S being on the end. It was just, you idiot. Right? You idiot. Looked with this look of just complete bittul. You idiot. What are you looking at me that way? Where did you just come out of? Who's in there? We just walked out of 7-7. Who's in 7-7? What are you looking at me like that? Like I'm something special. That just was such a look of bittul. It's unbelievable. Just like, what's wrong with you? Sometimes with Mendel would bring in 770, so yeah, I mean, did that happen a lot? He would sit there, he'd be talking to someone, and then with you saw Mendel talking to someone, so you'd like shuffle over and put your ear there and see if you're sold. Sooner or later there would be people around. So every now and then someone would try to rig up some sort of ramkol or something so that his voice could be louder, so there might be 50, 60 people standing around the table because Mendel's for bringing with a couple of people sitting down next to him. So you want to know what he has to say because he knows more than you. So sometimes they bring a ramkol, and it used to annoy Rav Mendel because it was like he was someone that people should listen to. So and in that room there's someone else that people should listen to. So sometimes when they put the ramkol out, before he would continue talking about whatever he was talking about, he would say words that I won't repeat here, right? Just to make sure that I'm not the Rebbe, okay? Just settle down. Just a chassid. He would say some pretty stark words and continue his conversation, just to make sure everybody knew who was sitting there. Don't confuse me with anybody else. But he did the work. It's real work, right? In all fairness, he was born in a crucible of that sort of work. When he was called up to the Torah, how was Mendel called up to the Torah? Anybody know? Yameid. They'd probably call him a Rav. Harav Menachem Mendel ben Menachem Mendel. He was named after his father. His father passed away before he was born. He was brought up by his aunt and his grandmother. He did in Russia, and then went through what he went through with the Soviets. They have an easy life. So on one hand, you'll say, well, okay, but that's the crucible that helps bring this all out. Okay, so yes, he had the advantage that he went into the Mesiras Nefesh state before he went to the Kassis Lamar state. Okay. So I don't know whether we'd rather have that. I hope no one brings that upon us. Right? We're not really interested in that. Our job is to get straight to Kassis Lamar. Val Yedei Zeh. That we're going to finish the mimer. We're going to finish class early too. Tomorrow we'll go through the whole mimer. By virtue of this, we should merit very soon the true and complete redemption. Then there'll be a revelation of godliness also below. And there'll be no need for Kassis Lamara, because what are we crushed? We're crushed because the Rebbe is not revealed below, but he will be. And then there'll be the bringing of the oil and the lighting of the candles. It'll happen also in Gashmias. Right now we have to do it in Ruchnias based on this mimer. But it'll also happen Begashmias in physical terms. Beis Hamikdash Shlishi in the third Beis Hamikdash, Begula Mitis V'Shlema in the true and complete redemption Al Yidei Mashiach Tzidkenu that will come through our righteous Mashiach. Rekat of Mamash. It should happen very, very soon.
Amen.
Okay. Tomorrow we'll go through the mimer from the beginning. We'll go through the questions. I'm going to ask you to answer the questions. When we ask the questions, then we'll just go slowly through it. It shouldn't take us that long. We'll go through the mimer and then we'll start something new. What's tomorrow? Wednesday. So on Thursday we'll start something shy of the Pesach, something short. L'chaim. Right? I was hoping that we'd have time to do two mimer that I really want you all to see, but they say that I think after Pesach we'll do it. There's another mimer that's similarly important relative to what the Rebbe's got to say about what life in Olam Hazeh is all about, and that's called B'Yem Mishtei Asar. It's another incredibly important mimer that you just have to learn. There's all sorts of mimarim with the Rebbe that you have to learn, but there's three main mimarim that you just can't figure out what the Rebbe is about. You can never figure out what the Rebbe is about. But in order to have any understanding whatsoever of what the Rebbe wants from us and what there's three mimarim that are extremely important to learn, and that's this and B'Yem Mishtei Asar and Zos Chukas. Those three maimarim will give a person a pretty good idea as to what the Rebbe thinks Moshe Rabbeinu is about, the Shvi is about, etc.
Over Basi Lagani?
Well, there's 40 Basi Laganis. Of our Rebbe. So which Basi Lagani would you pick? I don't know. Do I think Basi Lagani of the Frierdiker Rebbe is important to learn? Yes, that's why we learn. Absolutely. 100%. But the Rebbe is my mind. Okay. L'chaim.
Thanks, Rabbi. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebbe. I got a letter from a young woman many years ago. She was a student here in Eretz Yisrael 22 years ago.